Hey guys, Breg here, and today I'm going to be giving you some of my hopes for Blizzcon, which is starting in just a couple of days' time. Now, we're mostly going to be talking about gold making hopes, as this is mostly a gold making channel, but I'll also throw in some of my more general hopes for WoW moving forward in the future. So the first thing which I hope is going to happen at Blizzcon, and I can't believe I'm saying this, is WoWkemon Go. Pokemon Go for Warcraft pets. Now this has actually been predicted over the past couple of years, and there have been many sort of mini leaks that something like this is going to be happening, and many publications are suggesting that it could indeed be announced. Now interestingly, I really don't like Pokemon Go, and if Warcraft Go or WoWkemon Go, whatever we're going to call it, comes out, I'm not going to be playing it. That's not the reason I'm excited for it. The reason I'm excited for it is if it connected somehow to WoW in-game pets, then it could completely transform the pet market in World of Warcraft. Now I know this is pretty unlikely, but imagine if you got a pet in WoW, doing a pet battle or just looted one off a mob, and then that automatically put it in the WoWkemon Go game. Obviously I know it's not going to be called WoWkemon Go, I'm just calling it that for the sake of this video. Now, I don't know logistically how this would work, but it would be really cool and probably really successful on Blizzard's part if they managed to make it work, because think about it, Warcraft is so popular, Pokemon Go is so popular, you put them together, it's probably going to be a really popular game, guys, let's be honest. I won't be playing it, but I'm sure a lot of people would be playing it, and if you could get pets on WoWkemon Go from World of Warcraft, surely lots of new people might even start a World of Warcraft account simply to collect pets. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I bet if WoWkemon Go was really popular, people actually would make a Warcraft account just to collect pets, so it could be profitable for Blizzard. And it would be really profitable for me, so maybe it's just a greedy thing that I want this, but obviously I love selling pets, but sometimes the pet market's a bit dead, particularly at the moment when BFA is a bit dead. I would be very happy if it got reinvigorated, the pet market, by something like WoWkemon Go. I would imagine that all of the pets would go up dramatically in value, like double or triple their value, depending on how it worked. And it would just be really awesome to see. I think it would bring people to the game, like I say, and it would make gold making with pets so much more interesting. What are the chances of this happening? Well, I think the chances of WoWkemon Go actually happening are fairly high, or probably about 50%, 40%. I really wouldn't be surprised if it happens. However, the chances of you being able to get pets in WoW and then automatically have them transferred to WoWkemon Go, I'd say that's probably quite small, because logistically it would be really hard to balance and sort of make it work. I don't know how it would work basically, but if they managed to do that, that would be amazing, and that would really, I'd be really happy, because it would just give the whole pet market in WoW a massive boost, and it'd be really interesting to see how the two games kind of merge together. Okay, so the second thing I would love to see at BlizzCon is player or guild housing. Now, I'm not talking about the joke of housing, if you can call it housing, which was the garrison in Warlords of Draenor. I'm definitely not talking about that. What I'm talking about is an actual good version of player housing, or probably even better, guild housing, which could really change how professions work, how pretty much everything in the game works. Now, in most MMOs which actually have good player housing, it's all about the cosmetics. You don't do all this weird stuff like gather herbs in your house like you did in Warlords of Draenor. You actually go out into the world and you can collect kind of treasures, or you can complete achievements, and that will reward you with something cool to pimp out your house with. Similarly with guild housing, how cool would it be if your entire guild had some big area where they could all hang out in, and individual people could contribute different things to it, and when you complete guild achievements you can get some really cool guild stuff to go with the house. I just think that would be amazing for the community of the game, which is obviously lacking in BFA, and I think it would add a whole nother element to the game which just isn't there at the moment. But the reason I really want it is for its gold making potential. How many cool things could be added to professions if we had a sort of cosmetic player housing or guild housing system? Each profession could have hundreds of new recipes each one of which is just a cosmetic thing which you can buy to put in your player house or in your guild house. Tailors can make little carpets which you could then buy to put a different carpet in your guild house. There really are loads of cool options, and I think if Blizzard did do this, it would be hugely successful. It would give people who weren't interested in raiding or PvP a whole different endgame. It would make professions actually relevant again, and it would make gold making really fun because you'd have so many more things which you could sell to people, and it would just be a lot more interesting for the gold making game in general. Speaking of professions, another really good thing which I wish they would announce at BlizzCon is a complete profession redesign. Because let's be honest, right now professions in BFA kind of suck. And what made me realise this more than anything was actually WoW Classic, because in WoW Classic professions matter no matter what level you are. For example, I recently crafted some linen cloth boots which you can make at like level 20 tailoring or something, and they only cost 3 silver to make. I crafted them and I sold them for 2 gold, and for my level in Classic that was quite a big deal, really helped towards my challenge for the moment. So again, stuff like that is really cool, and the fact that professions actually mattered back then made a huge difference and made them actually interesting. Now I know they've tried to redesign professions in BFA with the whole system where you learn sort of BFA alchemy, for example, and then you have to go back and like learn classic alchemy or learn sort of Northrend alchemy and everything like that. It's kind of okay. I don't know if it's better than the old system or not, but it's really not where we want professions to be. We want professions to matter, we want professions to be hard, and we want professions to give something that's really quite different. One of the things I would love them to do is to make a lot of good recipes quite difficult to get, because then it actually matters what profession your main has. Now this isn't even that good for gold making, because obviously a lot of gold makers just want to be perfect in all the professions, but realistically guys, it should be the case that your main character can be the best at the profession because they do all the top level content, and that means they can craft the very best things. Now right now that kind of is the case. You can unlock sort of cool recipes and you can get the very best crafting material from the top raids, but that creates a BOP piece of gear. Whereas in Classic, for example, you can unlock some really cool recipes by doing some top level content, and you can craft that gear, but then you can sell it. And so it actually makes your main character a good gold maker because they're able to do that content and they're able to actually sell what they make. And I think that's really cool, and I wish they'd do something kind of similar in the new expansion. And in general, I wish they just make professions relevant. For example, alchemy. They should just do more cool and different alchemy potions which can be used out in the world and that people would actually buy. So even if you just make it whilst you're leveling up, like it's a low level alchemy potion, it would still be relevant and people still could want to buy it because it's actually useful in the world. And yeah, the whole profession system, it really depends on what else they add, because like I say, if they added some sort of guild or player housing, then you could do so much with different professions. Similarly, if you added sort of a system a bit like the Brawlers Guild, then again the professions could make stuff to help you in that, or help you in the Brawlers Guild, something that, you know, again, it's not everyone wants, but the people who want it, they'd be willing to pay quite a bit of gold for it, and it would just give you something extra to make. So the next thing is quite simple, and I'm pretty sure they will do this. It's just more cool things to spend your gold on. As a gold maker, I love having big rewards to spend my gold on, something like the big auction house mount. This was probably my favourite thing about BFA, because it's so much gold, but when you get it, everyone knows that you're a gold maker, and it's actually useful. Having an auction house wherever you go is extremely useful, and I'm really pleased that they added this, and I really hope they add more cool items like that. And I'm fairly confident they will. They had the spider mount in Legion, and they had this in BFA, and they've had lots of gold sinks in BFA actually, but hopefully they make something actually useful. The thing about the spider mount, it wasn't useful, it was just a mount. This has an auction house. I don't really know how you can top that, but even if it's not mounts, just do something cool else that you can spend your gold on. And again, if they had something cool like player housing or a system like that, then there would be so many cool things you could spend your gold on, and you could do so much with your player house or with your guild house to make it look cool, and it would just make things really awesome for gold makers, because you'd have a tangible thing to sort of show off your gold making abilities on, and I think that's really cool for people who love professions or love gold making, such as myself. And my final hope for BlizzCon is announcing more interesting single player content. Now, this might seem a bit interesting or a bit strange because WoW should be about group content, and I actually agree. I much prefer group content in WoW, but I think there is a place for challenging single player content. Now, even in Classic, the leveling itself was the challenging single player content. People spent hours and hours and hours on their own, leveling up, dying thousands of times. It was, in theory, single player, and then when you group up, it made it easier, and it encouraged people to group up, which was fantastic. So I really wish they would have something like this for the new expansion. So the Mage Tower from Legion was so successful, unbelievably successful really, when you think about how often sort of streamers spent on it, how often people would spend on it. It's an actual challenge. If you ask people what was their funnest part of Legion, so many people said the Mage Tower. So in reality it was a huge success, and I just wish they would do something similar to that. Of course they will do the Brawlers Guild, which is pretty good. It's not super challenging, but at least it's something a bit different. And there are kind of two reasons why I want this. The first, from a more general perspective, is it encourages people to sort of collaborate with each other, either sort of communicate, even in guild chat, say, wow, this is difficult, anyone got any tips? Something as simple as that, which can encourage sort of communication and encourage a sort of community feeling, which WoW has slightly lost over the years. And hopefully with more challenging single player content, particularly more challenging quests, like bringing back the elite quests, which we used to have so much in Classic, but we don't really have anymore, where you actually need to group up with people. Again, if they brought that back in, then it would encourage people to form little groups, to form a bit of a community. And the second thing why I want this, again, is because of the potential it has for professions and for gold making. One of the main reasons professions in Classic do so well is because there's so much hard content, or content which requires sort of quite a lot of time spent, single player content and group content, and that's why people will buy whatever they can from the auction house. People will go and buy some linen cloth boots, which give them like a 2 armor upgrade for 2 gold, which is actually quite a lot when you're a low level in Classic WoW. But people will do it because they just find leveling so hard or so time consuming, and they want to do whatever it takes to improve it. Similarly, people buy low level potions, like I said, all the time in Classic WoW, because they really want to get past this difficult quest, or excel more in a difficult dungeon. They just want to do stuff like that, which really cannot be done without the help of added bonuses, added items, which professions can provide. So whilst I want a profession revamp, realistically it's not going to happen, or it's not going to be as successful unless they actually make content which would make the profession revamp relevant. If they actually make content which is more difficult, and if they actually made things like questing or like the Mage Tower, which required a lot of effort and time spent, then people would actually be encouraged to go out and buy those tiny upgrades which professions can provide. So basically, I'd love the profession update, but it's not going to really matter unless Blizzard actually change the game itself to make it sort of more relevant. Anyway, that is it for this video, guys. Those are my 5 main hopes for the BlizzCon, particularly for gold making, but also for the game in general. Let me know what you think. What do you hope they announce at BlizzCon? And until next time, guys, see ya.